Hey, what's up, everybody? Bryce Amir Hardy back again. Black Experience Program. You know what time it is. Chapter 4, Week 4. We're going hard in the paint. We're talking about Amendment 13. And there's a lot that needs to be discussed, a little bit that people don't know, a lot that people don't know. Regardless of where you're at on the spectrum, tune in. Hee hee. So Venezuela, we're going to talk a little bit about that. The United States attacked multiple oil tankers. I don't know if you guys been watching the news, but that's what's been going on, and I thought that's very interesting, something we should all pay attention to, that we are hijacking oil vessels for resources in South America. We started out bombing boats, quote-unquote people smuggling. We're even double-tapping boats. They ain't survived, we hitting them again. Boom, 2 missiles. Oh, you ain't survived, we gonna hit them again. 3 missiles. That's what they were doing. Well, that's what we were doing, the United States. That's our government. Now, what are your thoughts surrounding this? I would like to know. Put it in the comments. Tell me what's up, what you thinking. Oh, we'll divide and conquer and figure out everything that you're saying, and we'll have another extra video about Q&A where we go over the questions and the comments. Because we haven't done this before. Or have we? See, the U.S. invaded the Middle East. Iraq, Afghanistan. We were getting involved in a lot of stuff like that. And the Taliban regime was actually going pretty hard in the paint. They had control over the government. At the time, SEAL Team 6 gets a lot of credit for assassinating Osama bin Laden. A lot of people don't understand that, but they do. They have a movie called 0-30 where they talk about a lot of stuff like that. Did you hear that the president in Venezuela actually was kidnapped? And not just him, his wife too. Some people say his kids. I don't know. We won't get involved with the kids, man. Protect the kids, protect the future. Multiple people were killed in the process. The same scenario happened in Panama with Noriega when he was kidnapped in order to face trial in the United States. Very interesting, don't you think? Now we're going to go and talk about this immigration. So this immigration, we're going to talk about these ICE detainment centers. Donald Trump's administration supported a policy that passed by Congress in July 2025. It included $150 million for extending the U.S.-Mexico border, ICE detainment centers, and law enforcement. That's a lot of money, $150 million. I ain't never touched that. I ain't seen it before. I don't know what it looks like. I would love to see what it looks like, but that's a lot of money. Taxpayers, that's where your money's going to. Immigration increased by 2.8 million people in the years of 2024 and 2023. That's reports from the U.S. Census Bureau. So that's how you know the citation is correct. President Trump proposed a $1.5 trillion spending budget for the United States military. That's a lot of military, citing troubling times. Now, fast forward, we're going to war with Iran. Don't you think it's interesting that Trump kind of set us up for this? He said it's troubling times, but the United States was the one that decided to kill their supreme leader and start the war. Iran didn't do anything to the United States. Okay. Just some thought for the brain. The 13th Amendment makes it unconstitutional for a U.S. citizen to be held as a slave, granting freedom to all Americans. Now, how do we get there? Well, just bear with me. The exception to the Constitution is criminals. So once you're convicted of a criminal charge, you can be held as a slave legally under the Constitution. Check it out, 13th Amendment. Slavery is all about economics. The Civil War left the Southern economy shattered. 4 million people were freed that were previously incarcerated. How do we rebuild the economy? Black Americans were arrested, creating a mass prison boom. Free labor from prison equals economic wealth. Ka-ching. I can get you to work for free on my property. I'm going to make a whole bunch of money off of your back and not have to spend a dime. Slavery sounds good to them. doesn't it? It sounds good to me, but that doesn't mean that I'll do it. Being black in America became a crime. Being black meant being a criminal. Being a criminal meant being locked up, and being locked up meant free money for society. One of these companies that helped push these agendas was ALEC. Who do you know about ALEC? What do you know about ALEC? ALEC stands for American Legislative Executive Council. ALEC is a business composed of politicians and big corporations. That's a problem. Politicians and corporations in the same company. Politicians are supposed to help the people, for the people, by the people. Corporations are supposed to make money off the backs of people. So these people doing the same thing in the same company, man, that's a lot going on, don't you think? The stakeholders proposed laws to create policies to help their agendas. Union Supply, Keefe, Bob Barker, Securus, and JPay are all in cahoots with ALEC. ALEC proposed a 3 strikes law. That's the 1, 2, 3, and you're out. That's the mandatory minimum sentencing. And SB 1070, which allows anyone to be stopped just by thinking they're an immigrant. That's pretty racist if you don't say myself. The prison system does not want reform. Because if you're in prison, if you have a job and you're talking about you want reform, you're just capping. Man, you're just telling a lie, man. Just tell me the truth. Because if you want reform for these prisoners, for me, for anybody in the prison system, you'll be out of a job by the time we all get out of prison. So you don't want reform. Black men, black men, black men. We are 6.5% of the U.S. population. That's not a lot. That's crazy. 42, my fault, excuse me. 40.2% of the prison population in the United States is black. How did we go from 40% in the prison population to only 6.5% in the actual population outside of prison? We're disproportionately represented in the prison population. That's a lot going on right there if you don't say so myself. The likelihood of imprisonment, black men, is 1 in 3. So if there's 3 people in a room and they're all black men, one of them is a statistic, has a likelihood to go to prison. You know what it is on the other side of the fence? White men is 1 in 17. You have to have 17 white men in order for one of them to be able to go to prison. That's just the statistics. That's not really the actual truth of the matter, but that's the mathematical equation upon that. So if you guys like facts and you guys like statistics, dive into that, because that was reported by the Bureau of Justice. 97% of inmates take plea bargains to avoid mandatory minimums. And if you exercise your right to go to trial and get convicted, you be punished more severely. Ain't that a shame? Now I want to tell a story about Khalif Browder. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about him. And if you don't, well, tune in. Khalif Browder was a young kid. You know, he used to live in the Bronx. While he was walking home with his friends, one day, police officers pulled him over, put him under arrest, charged him with the burglary. They told him he'd be able to leave. They took him to the station. He ended up on Rikers Island. In the meantime of him waiting to go to trial to beat this charge, his bail was $10,000. His family could not afford $10,000. He was sitting in jail on a charge he did not commit. So in the means of him sitting on Rikers Island for the 3 years that he was there, he got into fights. His mental estate was deteriorating. Mental health is real, man, especially when you're in places like this. Solitary confinement, the walls were all white. The guards were assaulting him. Other inmates were assaulting him. His mind was just going crazy, man. And the prosecutor offered him a deal and said, you could plead guilty to this charge and we'll let you out right now. Khalif Browder didn't have that in him. See, he was better than that. He knew that if he took that plea agreement, no one would understand his story, that he was innocent, and when he took that plea agreement, he would be deemed guilty. So what he did was he waited, and on the last day, right before trial, 3 years into his stay in jail, they released him from prison, dismissed all charges. Within 2 years of him being released, he committed suicide in his mother's house by hanging himself. Mental health is real, my brothers and sisters. That's a tough story to live by. That's what jail did to somebody. The United States has 5% of the world's population, but it holds 25% of the world's prison population. In 2016, 2.3 billion people were recorded to be locked up in United States prisons. The mythology of black criminality was created as the basis to lock up black men and women. The Birth of a Nation by D.W. Griffin was a movie that depicted black men as savages, where it's famously known for when a white woman threw herself off a cliff rather than be raped by a black man. And this was responsible for the rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan targeted black men, primarily believing that they committed a crime. They were lynched, they were hanged from trees on multiple occasions. Blacks did not move to the north for economic reasons. We moved to the north as refugees, fleeing from a land where we are persecuted and killed over things we have not committed. The lasting effects of the 13th Amendment is that criminality and being black became interchangeable. The 13th Amendment was legalized, and enslavement was legalized. Black men have an image, and that image was tarnished with propaganda. Violence became accepted as a punishment for suspects of criminality, and prison became modern-day slavery, generating wealth for America to this day. And what I recommend for everybody to go do in the audience is go watch this Netflix documentary called 13th. It's an original documentary. It's copyrighted in 2016. I recommend it to everybody. Appreciate your guys' time. Bryce Amir Hardy signing off. Like, subscribe, recommend it, share it to your friends, get it out to the people. This is for us, by us, to us. You know what I'm talking about.